something really cool happened. Do you remember that really amazing fort we went to in France last year? I showed you. It was an amazing place. Batterie de l'Éperon. If that was a... Please tell me that wasn't a sheep.
Et qu'est-ce qu'on a fait avec le grand galopin? On a fait du progrès? Non, 29. 29? Non. Oh.
Oh, it is in there.
C'était le parterre, les moyens sont cassés.
Voilà, 95% des équipements terminés.
Oh, sure. They put the gun in place.
What a beauty.
That must have been a bit of work.
A dozen people involved. It took a lot of effort over 2 days. They had some polytechnic students come here who would help with, you know, trying to organize the movement. And in fact, they used the rungs in the ceiling, which would have been used for changing the barrel when it was worn out. Okay. It's missing the firing mechanism in the center of the breech block, and it's also missing the hydraulic ram, which will elevate and depress it, because the muzzle stays relatively straight, and the gun moves at the rear end to depress, okay, and also to turn, elevation and traverse, okay. So it's not ready to fire yet. This rolling here is just to support it in position. The elevating mechanism has to be put back in. Oh yeah, there's a slide there where it will elevate and depress, but that's not in position yet. Then there's the recoil cylinders, the cylindre de recul. You have to put those in as well, okay? There's a bit of work yet, but the gun is in place. It is beautiful. Here we have the breech block for a de Banche style cannon, 1877 model, and one of the members of the association saw this for sale on Le Bon Coin website and bought it and tidied it up a bit, restored it, okay? And they measured it and used it to recreate an exact copy to go into the cannon itself, because obviously the French army, when they demilitarize everything, the first thing they do is they take out the breech block and the gun sights of cannons, and then they are virtually useless and helpless. They've been demilitarized. So now they've put the breech block back in the 155.
So why didn't they just take that breech block and put in the gun?
And all this breech block is pretty badly, like it's pretty rusty. That has got to fit 100% before you pull the cord and fire it. Okay, well, and this has been tidied up, painted, derusted. Okay, well, and this is a flexible pad which goes behind it, which is the gas seal, and that is solid. No longer works.
Well, I'm imagining they're not going to fire it anyway. So if it had to be jammed in there.
Oh, I don't think that would go in. The rusters actually, look, those teeth are precision cut, so they won't really work in the precision cut. So he said, come on, nobody would buy it. We could pay the €100 for it. Oh yeah, it was buried. Because les armories, when the Germans arrive and you can't move the gun, you pull out the breech block, and if you can, you bury it.
So a farmer found it somewhere after where it had been buried since the war?
Yes. And the cannon was put in place in its mounting by students from the École supérieure
des arts et métiers de Metz.
are des métiers. They're the technicians, the Meilleurs de France, who come from Metz, okay? And they help them put this in place. They put up a scaffolding, okay? A structure to lift it into place, using the eye bolts that would be used to replace the cannon in action when it was worn out, to place a spare cannon in place, okay? What else can we say?
How much does the barrel weigh? It's what?
Quel est le poids du canon, vous savez?
2 tonnes 450. 2450 kilos.
Un peu plus de 2 tonnes et demi. Just over 2.5 tons. Okay, the gun barrel.
Merci.
That is, yes, that's heavy. Now, the breech block that's in it is an original from a fortress cannon. The old one, which was very rusty, which was dug up, is from a field gun version, and they're not quite the same. They have most of it, except for the part to make it work. Quelle est la partie qui manque dans la culasse?
Le système de mise à feu.
Right, it's the firing system, where you put the little cylinder in, and that's hit by the firing pin to make it work. Yes, they've got one on the rusty one that was dug up out of the ground, but they haven't yet got one to fire this.
Last time I saw this, there was no barrel in there. So this is absolutely amazing that they did this for 2.5 tons of barrel. This is a bit of thing to move, not to mention the armored block that was here to shield it. It's absolutely great to see all the hard work they did to put this in place. And that's why I wanted to come back here and show you. So the cannon barrel is one thing that's going on in this fort, but that is not the only thing. You have the association that for the longest time have rented this fort and spent a lot of time, and as you can see, effort keeping it alive. Now they're facing a problem. The military wants to sell the fort. Don't really know what for, how much money, auction, and a whole lot of paperwork and permits and other holes to jump through. They have this fort full of ancient, really special artillery. They have the double turret up on front that you won't see anywhere else. This is a national monument. This is an incredibly important place historically and military historically. I am not going to sit by, if I can help it, and let some paintball association take it over and ruin all the hard work they can. So we're going to try to figure out how much money they need, and we're going to try to raise it. And I hope you guys are with me on that, because I'll throw in the first couple of grand if I have to. Now we have a problem here. What's the situation? What are they going to do? What do they want for it? What are they planning?
The negotiations for the purchase of the fort, which is gigantic and that's out of question, has to be closed off. It's too dangerous. And the battery itself are underway. The price that has been fixed is €1 symbolic. If the local community takes over the charge of it and the responsibility, which means the insurance and the security, etc. And so that's under discussion.
So can't
Tu la mettre en conformité, ça coûte de l'argent.
Yeah, you've got to put it into conformity with the toilets, the emergency exits. You've got the handicapable access.
Ça c'est des choses qu'on est en mesure de faire. Il y a des choses.
But yeah, the association is in the process of doing all that. The fort is rented from the engineers, the génie of the army. And the army is trying to get rid of its responsibility for most of these places. So already they're talking about the fort of Frouard. Don't know what to do with that difficult. The terrain, the ground around the land, will probably be given over to the forests, the forestier, the garde forestier. Okay, already staking out the area, and then they have to decide what to do with the Batterie de l'Éperon. And now the Batterie de l'Éperon is a repository for very, very rare and valuable pieces of artillery, which have come from Draguignan, not only here, this one, and the turret, the twin long 155s, in the only remaining Galopin turret in the center of the fort, but also a superb collection that Dravignon has lent to the fort on condition that the items are restored. So that's the current position.
So is there an agreement with all the negotiating parties that it will remain a museum fort? No one's going to destroy it and turn it into a
home for wild boar or something, or growing chickens or something like that. So they've done a lot of work already about signing, about how to move around, emergency exits, alarm security, fire security, handicap toilets, etc., etc. Done a lot of work already along the road to using it as an artillery museum.
But they are an association. They rented the fort. Why don't they take it over, since the army wanted to get rid of it, and take that final step as the association?
Right, okay. Well, the state wants to sell it by auction to the people who offer the most money. It's as simple as that.
And let's not forget the big turret steel dome they have on the roof, because that is just amazing. What they guys have done here is really something else that needs to be protected and shown to people. Hi, my name is Tino Struckman. I run Lost Battlefields. I travel every year for several months to the most interesting and sometimes unknown locations of the modern wars, fortresses, nuclear reactors of the Second World War, World War II special project sites, and huge coastal fortifications, big guns, big fortresses of the last many years, joining the evolution of the fortress. If you can, you don't have to, but please join me on Patreon, PayPal. Join me on Lost Battlefields, where you in the members area also have access to all the documentation used behind my episodes. You don't have to, but please like, share, follow. It certainly does help with the travel expenses, and gasoline is not getting any cheaper.